I'm really excited to bring you guys a meal prep video. This is going to be a giant batch of butternut squash soup that I'm going to put in the freezer for future meals at work. Hi guys, Ashley from ashcashbudget here. If you're new to this channel, I am currently following the Dave Ramsey baby steps. I'm on baby step number 2, paying off about $42,000 in debt. Here we go over my budget updates, my debt snowballs, vlogs, hauls, things like that. And today it is a meal prep video. So if you're interested in continuing to follow my journey, please click the little subscribe button down below and the bell icon so you're notified when I post next. Sorry for the glare. I'm just trying to get as much light on this situation right now. This beautiful glass cutting board was from my mom for Christmas. I love it. So this is gonna be my home base for getting everything ready. I'm using my Instant Pot today to make this soup. Let's get out all of the ingredients. I think this is everything. What I'm gonna start with real quick while I go over some of the other stuff with you, I have some onions and mushrooms that I had left over from Mother's Day. This will probably be a really long time from then for you guys. It's Saturday now. These onions still seem pretty healthy and these mushrooms as well. They're not slimy or anything, but I have these left over from Mother's Day. We did a baked potato bar for my mom, and so I still have these things to use up. I'm probably not going to use all of these onions, maybe a little bit more than half of what I have in this little container here. I'm not exactly sure how much that's going to be. Usually I don't add onions and mushrooms, so I can't tell you the exact amount. In fact, all of this I can't tell you the exact amount because I just kind of change it every single time I do it. I'm still learning how to cook. Let me know if you're one of those that are still learning to cook in your 30s. I am 30 now, and I still have a lot to learn. I think I've come a really long way in the past year as far as learning what kind of things to put together and kind of just how to adapt recipes and change things a little bit. I don't have to go exactly by the recipe. So I first started with a regular butternut squash recipe that had just butternut squash and coconut milk, and I've completely expanded it since then. I add different stuff kind of every time. It just depends on what I'm wanting to add. So since I have these to get rid of, I'm gonna go ahead and add these. I think it'll add a little bit of a deeper flavor. What I'm going to do is turn my Instant Pot onto saute, add a little bit of olive oil, and then put these on and fry them up a little bit, get them translucent, get them a little aromatic, get these going while I chop up the mushrooms. We're just gonna chop these up real quick. So this is what I have left, not very much, but I didn't use a whole lot. I'm not a huge fan of onions and mushrooms. I enjoy them when they're cooked down a bit, so this application will just be fine. Raw onions and mushrooms, I'm not such a big fan of. Please don't critique my knife cutting skills. I'm getting better as I go along, but I'm chopping these a little small so they can cook down faster, but also I'm gonna end up using the immersion blender, so it should get all blended up, but hopefully this will make it a little bit easier. I got rid of some of these mushrooms because I think I have more than enough here for my taste. Almost time to add these, but let's go over a couple of the other things here. So of course we got the star of the show, the butternut squash. I actually got 3 of these bags. I didn't want to be bothered this time with cutting up a butternut squash. I have done that for these soups each time in the past, but you know what? I think it's worth paying just a little bit extra to get it cut up. I don't have too much time in my schedule. It's worth a little bit extra to get this. I think it was $3.50, maybe $4 for these bags, and it's a pound. And I think for butternut squash, I've gotten it as cheap as 88 cents a pound for the full squash. And of course that includes like the seeds and the stem and the skin and everything like that. And then it can go up to, I think regular price is around $2 a pound. But time is money as well. So for me, it was a lot better to just buy these. So I have 3 pounds of butternut squash, which I think usually when I pick up a squash, it's like 2.5 pounds. I am making an even bigger batch than I usually do. And since I have 3 of these, I think I'm gonna add probably almost all of these carrots. This is a pound of carrots. I just wanted to go ahead and add that in there. I think that would be a good flavor to add in there. And then some sweet potatoes. I have like a really big one here and a kind of medium sweet potato. Since I'm doing so much butternut squash, hopefully all this stuff can fit in there. So I have these 2 sweet potatoes. So yes, we're getting very orange and we're gonna get oranger. I have vegetable broth. This is a regular 2 pound, 32 ounce. This is the Swanson brand just because it did say gluten free on that. Sometimes they put wheat in a lot of these broths. So I just wanted to make sure. That's why I got this brand. There's 4 cups in here. We'll probably add another like 3 cups of water to make sure there's enough liquid inside of the soup. Just 1 second while I add these mushrooms to the pot. I just added a little splash of water as well to kind of help them soften up. And then over here we have 100% pure pumpkin. I got this when it was on sale last year. Of course, since it's canned, it's good to like 2020. But I got it on sale because I love pumpkin. So when it was that season, I did get a few of these. I'm down to just 1 after this. It's not the sweet stuff where the stuff is already added in. This is just purely pumpkin. The only ingredient is pumpkin. So yes, even more orange. This is actually like coconut milk. I have added the coconut milk during the cooking process, and I've seen a lot of people say to add it afterwards. So I'll wait this time and add it afterwards. After I've blended it all up, I will add this and then blend it up some more. This just makes it extra creamy and of course dairy free. Those onions and mushrooms are pretty much cooked, so I've turned off the saute function. I'm letting it cool down just a little bit while I kind of prep some of this other stuff. So I'm gonna start by washing these and peeling the skins off. You know, I really do, I like skins on potatoes. I'm just not really sure how well it will blend up in a creamy soup. If you've had any experience with this, let me know. But I want to play it safe and just get rid of the skins because I don't think that they would puree too well at all. That took me a while, so let's try to cut into these. I just barely, this is a relatively new knife. I have not used it yet. Wish me luck. This is why I don't want to chop up a whole butternut squash. This is already hard enough as is. All right, so I'm gonna try to match the size of the butternut squash, kind of, just so they can cook about the same. I think the pot has cooled down a bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the butternut squash and the sweet potato into the Instant Pot. I'm just gonna dump these straight in there. It does say 16 ounces, 1 pound. It says a half a cup is a serving, and there's about 5 servings per container. If you wanna go by cups, it's probably about 2.5 cups per package, and there's 3 packages, so it's 7.5 cups. There's a lot here. I just spilled half of this bag all over the floor. So I guess it's about 6.5 cups. 6 cups. Oh my God. Be careful opening your bags, folks. Some of those pieces flew all the way to the living room. My life flashed before my eyes. Anyways, let's add the sweet potato. So I'm not sure exactly how many cups this is, but you saw the size of the sweet potatoes. There was a large one and a medium one, and my hands are turning orange from cutting these up. Let's get these into the Instant Pot. And the last time I did this, the carrots took a little longer to cook, so I think I'm gonna cut these in half, just to get them a little bit smaller so that maybe they cook a little bit better. I was still able to blend them up pretty well, but I just wish they were a little mushier, you know? I don't know, I feel like this is probably more than enough, so I'm actually just gonna save these, maybe like as a little snack or something, and put these into the Instant Pot. Here's all of the orange goodness in there, and we're pretty close to the max fill line of the Instant Pot. There's a little line up here that says PC Max, so that's for the pressure cooker, which we will be using to cook this. I'm gonna add some seasonings to this. I'll give you measurements of these as I'm kind of putting them in there, but don't take my word for it. Like I said, I'm still learning how to cook, and I'm just using my best judgment, and I'm just kind of throwing all the different spices that I have into this pot. We'll start with some salt and pepper, of course. I think we're safe to add a whole teaspoon of salt. Maybe just a dash more. I absolutely love pepper, but I don't want to go overboard on it. I've made it too spicy before. I'll start with a teaspoon. I can always add some more after it's done, and I can flavor up a little bit more. This is just ground black pepper. I'm also going to add a half a teaspoon of ground white pepper. Just because I have it around. Hopefully that's not too much. We'll put like 3/4 of a teaspoon of parsley just because we have it. We already have fresh onion in there, so I think I'll just do 1/4 of a teaspoon of onion powder. Oh boy, I love garlic powder. I need to get some more. So here's a half a teaspoon and just a little pinch more. Cumin was something that was highly suggested to add into this. I've also seen that curry powder is a really good addition to this, but I don't have curry powder. This is a big batch. So I'm gonna add, maybe like 3/4 of a teaspoon into there. We'll add half a teaspoon, a heaping half a teaspoon of paprika. I have this chipotle chili pepper. So if you don't know, a lot of chili powders actually have wheat in them. So it's not friendly for those that are gluten-free. So instead I have this straight up chipotle chili powder. So this is pure chipotle powder. So I don't want to add too much of this at all, but it's good to add a little bit of heat, I think. Really don't want to add too much. So maybe like 1/8 of a teaspoon, just to be safe. I don't want to burn my mouth off. Stop picking up the paprika. We're gonna go ahead and add some ground cinnamon. I just think that this flavor complements just, you know, the butternut squash and the sweet potato really well. That was like a little less than half a teaspoon. I was gonna go ahead and try to add some regular sugar for like the sweetness to go and complement, you know, the other flavors and to complement the vegetables that we have in here. But instead of regular sugar, I thought, I've seen people add brown sugar, and I'm not exactly sure how much brown sugar to add. So we'll just do a really rounded teaspoon. You know what? Plus a little bit more. I like sweet. I think that's it as far as the flavors I'm going to be adding. We're gonna go ahead and crack open this vegetable broth and dump it all in there. All right, so we basically want, I think, the vegetables to be pretty much all covered. So I definitely have to add a good amount of water in there. So that was about 4 cups of vegetable broth. You could also use homemade vegetable broth. Personally, I don't trust the tap water in this region, so I'm gonna be using purified water, just a personal choice. Let's see how many cups we can get in. There's 1, 2, 3. We'll add like another 1/4 cup there. I don't want to make it too watery because I will be adding that coconut milk in the end, but I also don't want it to get too dry and burn in the Instant Pot. I'm gonna mix this together just to kind of get the flavors moving around. And And we have room for our last orange item. So we're gonna add this pumpkin into here. I'm just gonna kind of push this in. I feel like the pumpkin, if mixed up too much, might burn on the bottom, you know, but I'm not an expert. But I am gonna mix it in just a little bit. You want those flavors to get in there, and I do want it to be submerged. We're like right at the max. So I scooped about like the extra fourth of a cup that I added. So this is 7 cups of liquid. The next step is I'm gonna add this back into the Instant Pot. I'm gonna put it on a manual time of 15 minutes, high pressure, and then naturally release it. So I'll just let it sit after it beeps for another 10 minutes, and then we'll see how it is. I wanna show you real quick what I'm going to freeze it in. I freeze it in these mason jars. You have to be really careful because of course liquid expands as it freezes. And so one of the key things with these mason jars is to get the wide mouth. As you see, it does not taper. It does not taper in. So that way it has room to expand without exploding. I only fill it up to about here. It is a 16-ounce mason jar. So each serving, I end up with a little bit less than 2 cups, which is basically what comes in a can of soup. 1 cup is a serving, is what it usually says on the cans, and there are 2 servings in each can. So essentially I get that, and I think it's perfect. It makes for a great meal. What I like to top it with is things like nuts or seeds. Like when I actually make it with real butternut squash, which this was really a lot easier. I don't know if I'll ever make it with full butternut squash again, but I would roast up the seeds and then I would put the seeds in the soup as I was eating it. It makes for a nice little crunch. It's also really good with different kinds of crackers, things like that. So it's kind of really versatile in that you can also heat it up and serve it cold. So if I ever can't get to a microwave, but I've had it cold inside of my bag with my ice packs, then I can still eat it. And it lasts for, I would say, like 3 to 6 months inside of the freezer. So I can have plenty of these. Sometimes I have to eat lunch and dinner at work. Please ignore the burnt bits around the edges. This is the final product. I actually ended up letting it naturally decompress for about 15 minutes because I was a little busy doing something. And then I let it cool down for a good 15 minutes before I took the immersion blender to it. I added the can of coconut milk, blended it up, and this is what I have. This is huge. This is massive. I'm guessing I'm gonna have about 10 servings. I'll make sure to put that across the screen right now. I'm gonna take it out of this right quick. I think I'm gonna let this cool down for a few minutes, and I'm gonna cover it up and put it into the fridge to cool down because it's really, really hot right now. I need to get it into the mason jars, but I want it to be completely cool, like fridge cool, before I ever put it into the freezer. So I think I'll just let the whole batch cool overnight and then maybe pack it in the morning. I tasted it to see if I needed to add any other seasonings to it, and I kept tasting it and tasting it. It's just, I think this is probably my best batch so far, I would have to say. Let me know if you like going on little, cooking expeditions with me where I'm still learning how to cook. I'm not the best in the world. This isn't exactly a recipe. It's kind of just like a cook with me, meal prep. And I hope you like it. Maybe you will try it out. Let me know if you do. And I will, of course, put the links up above to subscribe and another video YouTube will suggest for you guys. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.